Redditors, who are not in love with their SOs, why are you still with them? Throwaway. I honestly don't know. Because it's been more than 25 years and it's just easier to live as roommates than to go my own way, even though in a lot of ways that would be easier. Additionally, she would be royally fucked in so many ways. No real income, no place to really go. She wouldn't be able to afford a nice place. I'd be perfectly fine, but she'd be in a world of hurt. I don't necessarily love her, but I don't hate her enough to do that to her. So I stay. Same position. I rented him a place for a year, paid all the utilities and hookups, and told him, you have a year to figure shit out. Zero regrets. I literally bought my freedom and lack of guilty conscience. Just a thought if you really want to move forward. Did he figure things out? That's actually a great idea. Fuck me, this is the most depressing thread I've ever seen on Reddit. I've had 2 or 3 serious girlfriends in 15 years of adulthood, so I know the shitty feeling of feeling alone. I would rather be alone than half of these relationships, dude. I'm saying. I'm getting all paranoid now thinking that I'm on the receiving end of some of these, and that my partner wants to leave me. If it makes you feel any better, love means different things to different people. It's just a concept. To some people it's dopamine butterflies feeling, to others it's loyalty, and to others it's infatuation, which is why people break up often once infatuation is gone. All relationships are gambles. The only thing that makes a relationship work long-term is hard work, regardless of any chemistry compatibility. From my SIL. If I leave, I'm the perpetrator, breaking up a marriage, wrecking a home, etc., and hurting and humiliating my kids, my parents, my in-laws. But if I stay, I'm a victim of my miserable husband, and everyone wants to help victims. She's not wrong. I left, and I am now the bad guy and everything gets blamed on me. People can treat me however they want to, because ultimately it's my own fault for breaking up my marriage. Mostly this is my immediate family I'm talking about, and my ex. I mean, I do stand up for myself, but can't control other people. Yup. I left since she was cheating, on drugs, neglecting our children. She played the victim, she won. No one talks to me, not my family, nor hers. My kids blame me, she won custody, and I'm forever the bad guy who left in their eyes. I'm really sorry. I hope your kids come around. My parents divorced, and it took me years to understand who they really are. Therapy helped. She had me convinced everything was either normal or my fault. Then she cheated and is playing the victim because I read some of her messages after I found out she lied. Now it takes a year to divorce where I live, so technically still married for a year. Anyone reading this for personal reasons, just get out. It'll be better once it's all over, man. Just make sure you take a break from everyday life. Work, everything. Go somewhere you've never been to get out of the environment and have fun. Invasion of privacy is such a dumb gotcha. Like what? You think you have a leg to stand on after I read your messages to confirm that you were actually cheating on me, instead of just dumping you and giving you a chance to gaslight me into staying. It's like saying it's my fault the house burned down because I left the back door unlocked when you're the one that lit the drapes on fire and walked out. Like, oh no? You can't trust us anymore, man. I wonder what that's like. We have a special needs daughter who doesn't talk. Until she's able to tell me that something happened and she can understand more complex ideas and situations, there's no way I'm putting her in someone else's hands. My husband and I just don't mesh. He doesn't like me, and I don't like him. For the most part we can get along and even have fun doing things together with our daughter. But we haven't been intimate in years. We're both in our late 30s. And we reasonably don't have family to help. Although once she starts going to school full-time, I believe I will have more options to do something financially productive with my time. Could I ask, when did you realize you didn't mesh? Was it true for your whole relationship and you didn't realize it, or did you mesh at first then unmesh later on? We meshed at first, we moved in together and everything was fine, but then he started being brattier and brattier, just an unfun person to be around, complains about the lamest stuff. I get annoyed and start poking at him, cause I can't tell him to SDFU. I am a pretty wound up person, and he's carefree about long-term things, so that gives me anxiety. He doesn't know how to compromise, he was never taught, and his parents never fought cause his mom is perfect, and always went with her husband's opinion nor never said anything to create conflict. So he fine until you inconvenience him by disagreeing with him. He's a mix between a 3-year-old and an arrogant 13-year-old boy. Even when planning our wedding his mom asked me what my preferences were because she knows how bossy and controlling her son can be. But there was no turning back as I was 6 months pregnant. I know I'm not perfect, but I did try and have come to the conclusion that he's just an insufferable brat. X. My mom and dad were renewing their wedding vows a couple years ago, which happened to coincide with Halloween. He told my mom to pick another date for her wedding cause he wanted to take our daughter trick-or-treating, something they had never planned for before. And that he wouldn't allow me to go if she kept that date. X. I missed out on my daughter's first week of life because I had postpartum preeclampsia. While he stayed at the hospital with me to make sure he could say he was there when I died, he never once pulled up a chair next to me and made an effort to help me feel better or raise my spirits. Even the nurse made a snide comment about him being an asshole. I would have gotten out of the hospital sooner had he just left. All he did was complain and stay on his phone. But of course I'm the bitch because I get mad at the way he treats me. I'm just over it, but being able to be home to take care of my daughter means more to me than anything. I'm thankfully not in this relationship anymore, but out of fear that he'd do something to hurt himself. He threatened to do it when I first brought up that I wasn't happy in the relationship, and he became incredibly manipulative. A lot of people are stuck in a relationship for the same reason, and it's just so sad. I'm glad you could get out of it. Yup. Mine was crazy manipulative and emotionally abusive, so he completely isolated me and made me feel totally worthless. He often acted like he would kill himself if I seemed like I was going to break up with him, so when I actually did he made a huge scene, leaving in his car, calling me to tell me he was driving up north and was going to drive into traffic, and it was, of course, all my fault I had done this. I told him that if he was actually going to hurt himself and or other people that I'm calling 911. First I called his close friends to see if he was making it up, then I called his parents to let them know what was going on. I told his mom that my next call was to 911 because of the suicide threat and potentially killing other people, and she said don't you dare do such a thing. If anything bad happens to him in any way, it is your fault. Kay learned where part of his issues came from right then lol. Called 911. Followed the ping on his phone for 2 days as he traveled north. Finally he stopped in a northern city and got a hotel room, where police got him. He ended up being sent to a psych ward for 2 weeks. Where of course he called me several times whispering to let me know how much he hated me and that after he got out he was coming straight to over and was going to kill himself and that it was my fault. Fortunately he never did contact me again, he lived right around the corner for me. For other threats he made too, I tried to get a restraining order, but since he never made any direct threats saying he was going to kill me specifically, they couldn't do anything to help me. So I was just scared for 4 months until I moved to a new city loleta. Wow, I've never had so many replies before. I appreciate everyone's comments and support, that's really nice. My parents did not love each other, but have stayed together because of children. My parents too, split up about 10 years ago, 15 years later than they should have. I grew up in a house really without any love, and while I'm fine it definitely still shows, and my parents wasted decades of their lives being unhappy. Yeah, my family was kinda fucked up. I saw a lot of shit no person should have to. They wanted to get a divorce, and when I was around 11 and my older sibling 12, my parents sat us down to get our thoughts. My sibling told them to divorce, the marriage was dysfunctional. I told them to stay together for myriad reasons. My sibling and I both ended up going to top universities and succeeding professionally. My parents are still together decades later. And they've never been happier. Life can be so strange. I was the one super in love. I don't think he was. Once every 4 or 5 months, we'd have some sort of discussion. The last time, it was that he didn't know if what we had was love. I should have seen that as a warning. But I convinced him to stay with me after an hour discussion. I think he felt guilty. I stayed with him through suicide attempts, drug-induced psychosis, and moved countries for him. I imagine he felt an incredible amount of guilt and stayed with me because of that. I think he cared for my well-being maybe. But he wasn't in love. And it's painfully obvious now that I'm out of the relationship. I hate this one because I can't just chalk it up to someone being a jerk. Can confirm, breakups where no one is at fault are the worst hardest. When they're an asshole, you can hate them. When you're the asshole, you probably don't care. When you both still care about each other, it just will not work. That shit takes an incredibly long amount of time to recover from and makes you question everything. Edit. Thank you to all of you for letting me and each other know we're not alone and for sharing your stories. Also, to the people who disagreed with me, I agree that it all depends on experience. I don't mean to belittle any of your pain. I'm in this post and I don't like it. Yeah guys, stop being so relatable, damn it. Just recently went through this kind of a breakup. I felt blindsided and it destroyed me. I've since picked myself back up. Hearing her say, I don't see myself spending the rest of my life with you was hard though. We never fought and always got along great. Edit. I am a broken record self-proclaimed spokesperson for Guy Winch. His TED Talk, How to Heal a Broken Heart, helped me become a better person. If you're heartbroken, it's not the end. You're a great person. If you're not heartbroken, also check it out. It's awesome. It applies to any type of heartbreak trauma. Thanks for taking my Reddit gold virginity. I hope all you heartbroken ladies and gents the best. Going through that exact thing as of yesterday. Still love each other, but depression and life struggles have taken their toll, and she's not flourishing with me the way she deserves to be. I want to stay together, don't know how exactly to accept it. It just sort of became a habit, and when I realized I didn't have the feelings anymore, we had 2 young children, and I didn't want to break up the family, and later when we tried couples therapy, this didn't change anything, but our son was diagnosed with leukemia 2 years ago, so I felt we had to stay together until he was well. My ex didn't agree and we were divorced this summer. My son is almost through the treatment and is doing fine. I have not been this happy and relaxed in years, and so far the kids, 6 and 9-year-old, have coped well with me moving and when they're staying at my new place. You guys did the right thing. Much better for children to have separated, happy parents than married, miserable ones. Glad to hear you're doing well. Edit. For anyone who wants to ask for proof, please read the dozens of responses of anecdotal evidence. There are also a few scientific studies linked that show that while divorce can have negative consequences in the short term, it does not in the long term. To people saying that divorce dooms their children to the same fate, staying with someone you clearly don't love does the same thing. Obviously, divorce should be seen as a last resort. I do not know why some people are reading this and thinking I am advocating for divorce in every situation. Get therapy. Try to communicate better. But if nothing else works, it is a great last resort. My brother can't stand his wife, hasn't really been in love with her since about a year before their wedding. He talks about divorce to me when we're alone, but he'll never do it. He thinks he'll never meet anyone else being 32 with no social life. Plus there's a strong possibility she might kill herself if they broke up, or at least attempted. So together they'll stay. I just hope they don't bring kids into it. Fuck. I'm 32, single, trying to have a social life. That's okay, you know what's worse than being alone, being with someone that makes you feel alone. This is so true. I hated my last relationship and was dying to be single again. It's way better than being in a bad relationship. 32. He has so much life ahead of him. And no kids. He needs to get out of there and his wife needs therapy. Edit. Should have added they could both benefit from seeing a mental health professional. I focused on her need as more immediate, but realistically he needs to explore why he chose to get married in that situation to begin with. I'm around that age and, perhaps irrationally, feeling old and past it, so these comments are helping Edit. To put into context, I'm not married or settled down and I'm female. Thanks for all the encouraging comments. Honestly, as a dude I do a lot better in my 30s than I did in my 20s. Women start being really attracted to a guy who actually knows how to behave like an adult. You are absolutely correct. An ex told me she would kill herself if I left her. I said I don't want you to do that, but I won't be manipulated and left. Sometimes you have to be tough and have a strong will. Edit. My first silver, thank you very much. It's great to see so many replies and so much empathy. I hope that anyone in a similar situation to what I went through can see that manipulative people are not your responsibility. That's good you recognize that as abuse and got out of the situation. I hope you moved on to healthier, happier relationships after that. Did she kill herself? My boss has been vocal about wanting to leave, but he has kids and no prenup, so he can't afford it. My cousin told me about 3 hours after he got married that he didn't want to get married, but now he was terrified he would lose his house and basically all his money, alimony plus child support, if they got divorced. I told him that he should have said something 3+ hours ago, and he said he couldn't. I then asked him if this was such a big concern to him, why he didn't get a prenup. His exact words to me were those don't actually exist. They're just made up for movies. They've been married just over 2 years now, and I'm pretty sure it's only going to end if she leaves him or one of them dies. Considering he's 26 and she's 23 or 24, it sounds like he's in for a long, miserable life. Your cousin is an idiot. I am currently in an amazing relationship, textbook true love type of stuff. However, years back I was in a relationship with a woman who abused me physically, sexually and otherwise. And I did not love her, not for the last year or so when the abuse got bad. So why did I stay if it was so bad? Well, unfortunately, and this is true for abusive relationship, as well as for mundane loveless relationships, people get wound up together, and then it becomes very difficult to imagine your life without them, even if it's not a good life. I guess people are better at surviving the current hardship than breaking away into the unknown. There's a lot more to my story, and everyone's story has its own details. But I think that's the basic answer. You build a life with someone, it gets hard to throw that life away. What do you have in your current relation that's so amazing? I've never had that textbook true love before. Being in love seems like a state over which you have no control. I long ago made the decision just to love the woman who became my wife. Fortunately, she made the same decision about me. Romantic infatuation has faded, but our love for each other endures. It takes work to maintain, to avoid taking each other for granted. Love is not an emotion, it is a practice. Edit. Thank you for the awards. I'm glad I could contribute to making some folks' days a little more hopeful and perhaps inspire a bit more love in the world. I love this. I have been married for 21 years and this is true. I also think feelings of being in love can come back. For us it was a matter of our kids being older now and us finding hobbies we love doing together. Reignited that flame. I'm glad we stuck it out through the hard times. I haven't been married nearly as long, but my wife keeps doing things that reignite or keep that feeling going. It's like all feelings, it waxes and wanes, but I found someone who is an important part of my life and constantly finds ways to make it better. Mileage varies. Neither my wife nor I had any choice in our love for each other. It was quite literally love at first sight. Folks flatly can't believe we're together, as we simply don't appear to fit to anyone. At first blush, I'm a straight-laced, socially awkward, complete nerd. She's a beautiful, outgoing, energetic networker with 2 successful businesses. Naturally, we saw immediately in each other the things no one else understood without having to even speak. Going to be 17 years ago, I met her on New Year's Day. I still love her to the point of distraction, and her likewise. We both remarked that we're swept up in it. Edit. And yes, even the fairy tale stories require work and commitment. Don't give up on your relationship. 80-20 rule. Give 80% expecting only 20% in return. If your partner cannot give you the 20%, then you need to perhaps look into remedying that with couples counseling or moving on. Good luck, everybody. Neither of us experience attraction, but we still care deeply for each other. He's my best friend. Also, the marriage was mutually beneficial. Edit. Woza, I did not expect this to blow up. Y'all literally doubled my karma, lol. So thanks for all the positive support. I tried to clarify some things in the comments, but fellow A-spec people beware that the insults and gatekeepers do come out a bit. Honestly, that sounds like a good deal to me. It's a tad odd, but a marriage only works with a relationship outside of simple attraction. My wife's parents got married when they were 18 because my MIL told my FIL that she wasn't going to stop dating around until she had ring on her finger. Things reportedly went okay at first, but then they both made big sacrifices for the relationship that they now regret heavily. Throw in some cheating and emotional abuse from both parties, and you can feel the resentment when you step through the front door. The reasons they're still together in their late 50s? Well, she's morphed into a religious nut who is convinced her place in the kingdom of heaven is secure. So she has no intention of leaving and is just waiting to die at this point. He has several million in assets and cannot handle the idea of having to split it with her. So they're just stuck. Staying miserable just so you have some extra zeros on a piece of paper somewhere, then drops dead in 5 years never having spent it. We are the strangest creatures. In my first relationship I thought I had scored the jackpot. I was young and he was young and jacked and smart. He overglorified himself and I just couldn't see that. I looked up to him as a god, mainly because he kept saying I was bad at my studies and cooking, and basically everything that I love to do. I thought I would never get someone better, so thus I stayed. I thought I loved him, I thought that was what love was, but I was just proud that I had gotten someone so amazing. I was stupid. I had a similar situation in high school. I was stupid. Thought I was madly in love with the guy even though he repeatedly emotionally abused me. I thought I hit the jackpot because he was handsome, and everyone thought he was cool. I stayed because it was the first guy to show interest in me, and I had zero self-esteem. I thought if I left, nobody would want me, part of the emotional abuse. Finally left because I was the worst version of myself with him, and I think he cheated on me. I even remember after we broke up we saw each other, and he commented on how much I'm letting myself go because I had something in my teeth. Fast forward, I'm 4 years married to the kindest man in the world whom I'm madly in love with. Good question, OP. I'm in a relationship for the last 14 years, and what I have to say is, love is amorphous, it changes what it is and is hard to pinpoint sometimes. Sometimes you will be mad at each other, sometimes you will share laughter and smiles and hugs and kisses, sometimes you will be underwhelmed, sometimes you will be bored, sometimes you will be full of pride and appreciation, other times you will take them for granted. Sometimes the sex will be great, other times samey. But life goes on. Can anyone truly say they are in love constantly and without interruption always, or is it something that ebbs and flows? I think the latter. But I am always loyal and feel allegiance to my partner and family. I always have the attitude that I am committed and we are on this journey together, and I certainly don't want to be with anyone else. So that's my 2 cents right now. I would make the argument that what you describe as allegiance and loyalty is actually love. I believe love is a choice that you have to continue to make over and over again, and not whatever Hollywood or other media outlets might claim it to be.
Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Tell me what you dislike or love about this video, so please comment below and hit the bell icon so you're notified anytime a new video is released. This is a WeCrow Media production.